Hey everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of This Woman Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, career and life strategist for the mature Black woman. Well, this week I am delighted to have a guest with me, and I've interviewed Daisy before, way back when I started podcasting. But it's great to have her back and talk about her expertise. So let me introduce Daisy Wright to you. Daisy is an award-winning executive career coach. She's a three times author and founder and chief encouragement officer at the Right Career Solution. She collaborates with mid-career professionals, emerging leaders, and executives to help them find satisfying careers. Her services include career transition coaching, interview coaching, executive resume writing, and LinkedIn profile development. And I particularly want to discuss promotion strategies for Black women over 40, as we often have a number of hurdles when seeking promotions in the workplace. And I've got a few I can probably name, such as unconscious biases, the lack of sponsorship, but I'm not going to steal Daisy's thunder here. So Daisy, welcome back to This Woman Can.
Well, thank you so much, Janice, to have me here today. As a matter of fact, this is my third rodeo
Yes.
because I was your first
You
guest many
were.
years ago,
You were.
and some years passed, and then I was a guest with another lady. I can't remember her
Yes.
name. And now I'm here for the third time. So thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. It means I like you.
I know, yes. Yes, and I'm thrilled. I said, wow.
Fantastic.
In fact, when you asked, and I said, okay, well, I could volunteer, but
Yes. Well, do you know what? I'm very again. We would digress a little bit, but for me, if you have a subject knowledge and you know what you're talking about, there's no reason for me, to you to say to defer. If you know you're the best at what you do, or you're good at what you do, put yourself forward. I'd never believe in hanging back
and
if we've got the expertise.
that's true. And isn't that what we tell our clients?
Yes,
You know,
yes,
we
yeah,
tell
yeah,
our clients the same thing. We said,
yeah.
I had a session once, and I'm going a little off topic a little bit, but you know that I host an event, a visioning event every
Yes.
January.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to come to Antigua and do one. But anyway, and one year it was the theme was why not?
Mm. Mm.
And I looked at it and I said, many of us as women, Black women, people of color, an opportunity might be coming our way. And we
Mm.
said, you know what? Give it to Janice. I think
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
we're holding ourselves back.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that year we said, no, it's going to be why not me? When opportunities come
Mm.
your way, volunteer
Mm.
for it. Let
Fantastic.
people know who you are. You have the
Mm.
skills, you have the knowledge, you have the ability. By all means, go ahead. So yes, you're
Fantastic.
right.
We can see we're going to have a fun time here this afternoon. We're going to have a fun time.
Yes.
So, from coaching a range of women, especially over 40 that I do, I know from experience that depending on their stage of life, that the experiences could be different. So I'm probably going to ask you questions that pertain to different age groups, but
Yes.
also may have a thread running through. So I kicked off by saying there were some challenges that particularly Black women face when seeking for promotions, Daisy. What do you think are the biggest challenges, particularly at mid-career and beyond?
So let me start with mindset.
Mm.
And one of the things that happened to us is that we tend to listen to the negative Nancy's
Yeah,
in our circles,
yeah.
or we end up having these negative conversations in our minds to
Mm.
say we're not good enough. Who am I to want to get this position? What have
Yes.
I done? Because we have never really taken time to reflect on our contributions to the
Yeah,
workplace, to our
yeah,
offices. And
yeah.
so the first thing that comes up is, oh my goodness, you know what? Tom had said, I didn't do a good job with that. And so we kind of internalize it. So
Mm.
mindset is very important. I tell people all the time, I tell my clients all the time, quit playing small.
Yes.
You are bigger than this.
Mm.
And so when you change that mindset, and I'm not talking about what they call toxic positivity. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about reality. You,
Yes.
you are the only you. You are unique.
Mm.
And that's a wonderful place to be. So
Mm.
claim it, right?
Mm.
So that's the first
Mm.
thing. In terms of practicality, though, there is one of the biggest challenges I find is that there's a lack of recognition and visibility that mid-career professional women find themselves in. And I know your audience is Black women primarily,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
women of
Yeah.
color as well. And it's as if they've reached that plateau where they feel that their contributions are undervalued.
Yeah.
And they don't receive that recognition. They don't receive the same level of recognition
Mm.
as others, right?
Mm.
And this could be due to unconscious bias or a
Yeah.
workplace culture that does
Yeah.
not promise,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
that does not promote
Yeah.
diverse
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah.
So that's one of the challenges. And the other one I would think is balancing one's professional growth with personal responsibilities. You know,
Okay.
we all, yes, we juggle all. I mean,
Yeah.
people tell
Yeah.
you, "Oh, we are, Jill of all trades and all of that."
Mm.
But
Mm.
what happens is that women in this particular age group, and I want to say the age group would be 40 to say
Yeah.
60,
Yeah.
um, they're also managing family obligations,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And that can limit their availability
Mm.
for opportunities.
Mm.
So those are some of the challenges. It's not
Yeah.
unique to say, Black women, or
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all women. Well, most women would
Yeah.
fall into
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
category as
Yeah.
well. So those are two of the challenges that came to mind right away.
Okay. Let me
Mhm.
add to that from
Yes,
experience as well, is also the lack of sponsorship. It's no secret that I've been a C-suite executive, I've done it. And one of the reasons, clients come to me is because is they said you've actually had the experience.
yes,
And there's so few. One woman said to me, there are a few black coaches. And I said, yeah, but you break it down, there are a few black coaches who've had the experience at C-suite level. So I'm always happy that I've kind of stepped into that realm. So, we don't see people who look like us
yes.
in those senior positions. And of late, to be honest, I mean, especially not so much this year, but I know the past 12 months, especially in academia, when you did see women who are in those senior positions, it wasn't from a positive perspective.
That's right.
When the stories that were out there about women, taking their own life or the stress and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so I can understand why sometimes the challenge is there about
Yeah.
it's two-handed. So either do we go for promotion and do we want the promotion based on what we see? And if we do want the promotion, how do we get the support to get there?
Yes. Yes. And that's why I heard some years ago, and I didn't give it much thought until later on, that Black women are over-mentored and under-sponsored.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sponsorship is what they need.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And you know what? Go, they can ask to be sponsored. They can
Yeah.
ask to be sponsored.
Yeah.
If there is, I have a client right now, and she works with one of the banks, and she's a senior manager,
Mm.
and she is going for a position as assistant vice president with the bank.
Mm.
Now, this
Mm.
is this is huge. Our con
Yes.
our conversation, one of the things she said to me in one of her sessions was, after we had spoken and I'd kind of, taken a whole lot of stuff from her and
Yeah.
then developed her resume, her documents, she looked at it, she was reading it and she said, Daisy, is that me? I feel like I'm an executive. And I said, yes,
Yeah.
that's who you are.
Yeah.
But one of the things she said to me that has really, really taken a hold in my mind is that she has had sponsors,
Mm.
and she has had sponsors in terms of white men,
Yeah.
women,
Hmm.
Black people, Black women to a
Hmm.
lesser degree, because of course
Yeah.
the higher you
Few of
go up,
us.
then the
Yeah.
less of us.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. And the way she did it was to identify people in her organization
Mm.
who are on the same track or they have walked the same path.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
she was not afraid to reach
Yes.
out. When I started with mindset, that's what I was talking about, because a lot of people believe that, okay, you know what? He's a man, he's a white man. I'm not
Mm.
going to approach him.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
they've already answered, they have already,
Yeah.
and say, if I ask him, he might say no. Well,
Yeah.
hello. The
Yeah.
50% is that you may ask him
Yeah.
and he
Absolutely.
will say yes, or him or
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
So sponsorship is very important. And I encourage people to move from this mentoring piece
Yeah.
and see how you can develop relationships with people. And remember that sponsorship means that person is putting their career, their reputation
Yeah.
on the line for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to make sure you know what you're doing. You have to make sure you're serious about it. And you have to
Mm.
also make sure that you realize it's a two-way street. And when I say
Yeah.
two-way street, not that you're going to be the person's sponsor, because, in the hierarchy, that person would be higher. But it doesn't mean that you would not have found, say, an article about
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that and you
Yeah.
share it, that type of thing. So,
Yeah.
yes, so that's very important. And I encourage people to look forward to that piece
Yeah.
as opposed to the whole mentoring bit.
Yeah.
And I will, anyway, I would say something else about having your personal board of advisors.
Yes.
But we'll get to that because I'm sure you'll ask me a
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
that relates
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you said about there's two things I'll pick up on there is the fact about you said about sponsorship being two-way, especially in this day and age now of multi-generational leadership.
Yes.
I'm 60, the people I coach could be 40. That's a 20-year gap. There's still a difference. I
Yes.
can still learn from them, even no matter how senior I am. So, that's a great position to be in. And the second thing is quite funny because I had a similar conversation with a client this weekend where I taught and she was like, well, I'm not a director. Don't, can I ask for the director job? I said, well, why not? Why
Yes.
can't you? I said, but better yet, the question you could ask is what do I need to do to get to director level?
That's
There's
right.
ways of asking about it. And the people, as you said, that are already walking in those paths, a great question was, what does it take to be a successful director like you? People love talking about themselves.
Exactly.
It's a bit of flattery at the same time,
Yes.
but you're getting the valuable information you need.
It is. It
Yeah,
is. And that's why you have to surround yourself with, in terms of, getting a promotion, earning that promotion. You
yeah,
surround yourself with, or you start hanging around with
yeah,
people who are
yeah,
one or two
yeah,
steps
yeah,
above, because they have walked the path.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they can show, yeah.
So those are a couple of strategies that that proactive steps that women can take to position themselves for future promotions. Are there any more, Daisy?
One of the things, well, there are several actually. One is to build a strong professional network.
Yeah.
Some of us are so contented in our silos, and we don't think that relationship building is important. It's it's something you have to do like almost every day.
Yeah,
Build and nurture the
yeah,
relationship.
Yeah.
Let people know who you are, what you're good at, so that when they will have you on their radar.
Mm.
When an opportunity is coming, they will think of you first. So that's one, build a
Yeah.
strong network.
Yeah.
Have your personal board of advisors, what I call the
Mm.
PBA,
Yeah.
or your PBO, personal board of PBD rather,
Yeah.
personal board of directors.
Yeah.
Those are very important. You need between 6 and 8 people
Mm.
with different skill sets
Yes.
that you can turn to. You need somebody who is good at, say, finance,
Mm.
that you can say, you know what? I need some questions. I have some questions
Mm.
around my finances or my budgeting. You need somebody who is, say, an HR person, for example. They know, what's going on behind the scenes in HR. You said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
on a promotional track and I need to know what are some of the things I have been doing this, I have done that. What else can I do? So you need those people. You also need a friend. And when I say a friend, it's a friend that who will tell you like it is.
Yes.
That person is not going to sugarcoat anything just to make
Yeah.
you feel good. Because we have these different blind spots, where we only see things one way, but we need somebody who is going to say, Janice, you know what? I've been listening to you. You have been staying too long at this pity party. You're
Mm.
not getting anywhere. Let's see what else you can do to move you from where you are right now to
Yeah.
closer to where you want to go.
Yes.
So you need those people
Yeah.
around you. The
Yeah.
other thing that people can do as well is to join professional organizations.
Mm.
And when I say join professional organizations, I don't only mean you join it to say, I am a member of
But
the
yeah.
International Coach Federation, but
Yeah.
you contribute. Become a
Mm.
contributing member because one, visibility, you will gain
Yes.
visibility. Two, somebody will say you're learning new skills, you're
Mm.
building your leadership skills, and somebody's going to say, you know what? Hmm, I hear that a role is coming up, and I know you might be interested.
Yeah.
Your name and reputation
Yeah.
precedes you. So it's
Yeah.
important to not only join the professional organizations, but it's
Mm.
also important to contribute so people can see,
Mm.
what
Mm.
skill sets you have. And then of course attend industry events.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
organizations, having conferences, whether online or in person,
Mm.
those are
Mm.
some things you can do. And the last piece I would say, Janice, is to engage in continuous professional development.
Amen.
Always be
Yeah.
learning, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it does not mean you have to pursue advanced degrees, especially now,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yeah.
especially now when the focus is shifting from the paper
Yeah.
degree qualification to
Yeah.
practical stuff. It's what skills, what
Yes.
skills is the workplace looking for? Do I
Yeah.
have them? And if I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
how can I get them? How can I get
Yeah.
some money for credentials
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help me to add to my repertoire of skills?
Yeah.
And then finally, it's really to stay updated with industry trends.
Mm.
So you're
Mm.
you are on top
Mm.
of things. When somebody asks a question, you
Mm.
can put your hand up and say, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
I love that point you made about qualifications because I just quite recently did an article about 1 degree or two. Do we need another degree? We as black women are already the most credentialed women anyway, but we hands down, someone's always doing something. But when you get to this age, when you get to plus 40, and you get to 50, 60, you have gathered such a wealth of experience that, to be honest, no degree could actually give you. So lived experience and
exactly.
expertise. And so for me, it's about, well, actually understanding what your transferable skills are so you can articulate them when you have those conversations, whether it
Mhm.
be promotion, whether it be your appraisals. Can you demonstrate that? And secondly, how can you enhance those skills, as you said, with micro credentials, just to solidify them further? And then the last thing I wanted to say about the owning your personal development. So many of us are out there waiting for our organization to say, well, this is the program you need to be on. This is your course of development. And I'm like, I don't want anybody,
No.
I don't want anybody to be responsible for my how far I go. That's down to me. So I have to take some ownership for that development. So employing somebody like us, actually getting a coach, external, whether, oh, if your organization can pay for it, even better. But the
Yes,
benefits of having this external view and the expertise of someone like in your corner is absolutely paramount.
exactly.
Maybe a bit biased, but
No, not at all. That's the truth. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
people can no longer sit back and believe that the organization is, some organizations are doing it,
yes, yeah,
but
yeah,
you have to be proactive. It's your
yeah,
career. Have
absolutely.
career conversations with your manager
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
say, you know what, my goal for this year is to get to here.
yeah,
How can you help me? What else do I need?
yes,
And so,
absolutely.
because sometimes, sitting, doing the work, what they have a term that I learned the other day. I was in a webinar hosted by the Globe and Mail here in Toronto,
Yeah,
and it was how you fix the broken wrong.
yes,
For
yeah,
women,
yeah,
of course,
yeah, yeah,
it's not even about the glass ceiling
yeah.
yet.
It's actually
It's
getting on
about
with, it's actually getting on it.
it's about
Yeah,
the broken rung, as you
yeah,
know, and you would have read the 2023 report by Lean In and
yes.
McKinsey,
McKinsey. Yeah,
right? And is you know every to every 100 men that gets a
mhm,
promotion, it's 87 for women generally.
yeah,
Then it falls to 82 for
yes,
Black women, right?
yeah,
So that wrong needs to be fixed. But what the one of the panelists was saying, she mentioned the term the quiet doer.
mm,
And which means, you sit there and you're
yeah.
quietly
Waiting.
working. But what
Yeah,
happens there?
yeah,
Unless you have a manager who supports you,
yeah,
who can say, Janice, I
yeah.
know you're, if you don't have such a manager, you have to push yourself
Yes,
out
yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah,
right? And let people know. And so they talk about the quiet doer,
yeah,
DOE,
yeah,
and how managers can help someone like that. But you also have to help yourself. When you have your head down every day, just work and just wishing that somebody's gonna
sort of recognizing.
recognize it.
Yeah,
No, it's not
yeah,
gonna happen.
yeah, yeah,
You have to make sure you are out there. You have to
yeah,
make sure that you're doing things that to gain that visibility and
yeah,
doing it in a way that's, not to say, well, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, even though you know that within
yeah,
yourself, but you're not walking around with a chip on your shoulder.
yeah,
You're saying, I know I have value.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I have the proof.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
you have the proof, then speak it. Let
yeah,
people know. It's
yeah,
not bragging. You have
yeah,
the proof, it's not
yeah,
bragging.
yeah,
But some of us were socialized to believe that, you can't say this. You shouldn't say that. Who are you? No, 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 no.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got
In
to be
this place,
humble.
yes,
You've got to be humble. Don't
exactly.
brag. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
not bragging if it's real, if it's
No,
true.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you have the proof, if you can say, yes, I did this,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
by all means
yeah,
talk about it, because
yeah.
nobody is going to come to rescue you from,
Yes,
from that
yeah,
that that
yeah.
situation. You just have to tell them, pretty much like it is.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to upset a couple of listeners here anyway, because some of the women I know who've been in jobs 15, 20 odd years and wondering why haven't I do all the work. I've been really diligent. I meet all my deadlines, but I haven't got any further. Well, but for me, to a degree, that's what you're paid to do.
Yes.
The next stage to get promotion, unfortunately, is actually talking about what
Yes.
you've done and what you've
Mm-hmm.
delivered. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference, because you delivering and hitting your deadlines, that is what you're paid to do. That's
Yes.
it.
Yes.
The extra mile, if you want to get noticed for the extra, you need to start talking about the
That's
extra
right.
that you've
I,
done or you can do.
exactly. And I agree with you. That's what you're paid for. But
Yeah.
you're also doing that extra. And if you don't talk about the extra that you've been doing,
Yes.
for example,
Yes.
there are, and this is what this is a term they call the drip strategy.
Mm.
And what it is you find opportunities to let your boss or even senior leaders
Yeah.
know that you have been doing this. For example,
Yeah.
if you volunteer, like some organizations have their employees volunteer for certain um go out in the community and do some
Yeah.
volunteer.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, if you are the leader of that team or you are part of that team and you want um your manager or somebody higher than that manager to know, you can go into a meeting. First
Hmm.
of all, you can send an email to the manager and said, you know what, could you give me 2 minutes on the agenda to talk about the project that we did with
Yes. Yeah.
whatever, right? And and then you go to that meeting, they give you the 2 minutes. You speak about it as a group, not just you now because you're a
Yes.
team,
Yeah.
right? But you have taken the leadership role to talk about it, right? And then there are people who, oh, okay. Hmm. So that's what I was hearing, that, when you all went there,
Yeah.
such as happened.
Yeah.
It's a little, they call it the drip strategy
Yeah.
because you're taking your time to,
Mm.
just feed them little bits of information.
Yeah.
You know, by the next month, it could be something else. It could be,
Yes.
Rachel, could I have 20 minutes of your time to talk about, whatever? Rachel will say, you know what? I know a little bit about Janice because
Mm.
she was part of the team that went to such and such. So you drop these little breadcrumbs along the way.
Mm.
And in that way, you're making yourself memorable. It's not about, and it's different than calling on the boss every minute to say, oh,
Yeah.
look what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing. Look at me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Look
that's
at
not
me.
what
Look
I'm
at me.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, in letting people know that what you're doing, a part of what you're doing is playing right into the
Yeah.
overall objective or goal of the
Yeah.
company. So you
Yeah.
want people to know the role you're playing in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
I'm going to pick out a couple question for each of the different cohort, different age groups I look at. So
Yes.
for women in their 40s, as you said at the beginning, you talked about women balancing, a lot of women balancing maybe younger families and also older relatives. So
Hmm.
for women who find themselves balancing these different responsibilities, how can they demonstrate their value and leadership potential while managing these demands?
I think time management is going to play a role
Yeah.
in that. And women can demonstrate their value um by how they manage their time,
Mm.
showing that they can handle multiple responsibilities without compromising the quality of the work. And when I say handle multiple responsibilities, I'm not talking about multitasking.
Yeah.
because multitasking is not true. We're focusing on, one thing, but, you can demonstrate, women can demonstrate their value by efficiently managing their time and demonstrating that they can handle responsibilities without compromising quality. So that's one. Then, they can also set clear boundaries. And I
Yes.
know when we say that, people are going to say, oh, oh Lord, I can't set clear boundaries.
Mm,
Yes,
mm.
use as a woman who is on the way up, who is looking for a promotion, you have to learn to delegate tasks,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Delegate the tasks that somebody else is better at, and you focus on
Yeah.
the other tasks that include critical thinking, or
Mm,
serious
mm,
decision making, and so on.
mm.
And then, by doing that, and that means even in terms of at home, you have to
Yeah.
balance it. Yeah, but so delegate the tasks, and in by so doing, it will help you then to have I would say, a fairly healthy balance, put it
Mm,
that way.
mm,
Yes,
mm,
so
mm.
that's 2 points actually. And then the other thing too is that women, so time management is one,
Yeah. Yeah.
the other one is showcasing your leadership potential by taking on asking project initiatives, or ask if it's not being given to you, ask for it, so
Mm,
that
mm.
you can demonstrate your leadership skills that align with your expertise,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you get an opportunity to lead like a high impact project, by all,
Mm,
go for it.
mm,
And
mm.
believe in yourself. That's at the heart of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Believe that you can do it,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Um, you have done it before. Let them know how you can drive results. Talk
mm,
about it. Because again, that's how you showcase that your skills and abilities, but that you're ready for the next.
mm,
So those are
mm.
some of the things that
Yeah.
that would come to mind.
I hear what you're saying there. And it's, one thing that came to my mind was that it's unfortunate that as women that we're still in this situation where we're having to do that balance,
Yes,
but I
yes,
do think one of the things one of the things I would support you with is that we actually do need to talk up about the boundaries. There's
yes,
no point for me, there's no point trying to do all the things on your own without saying, look, maybe sometimes I need some help. I can do
yes,
this. However, these are the boundaries. This is the time
yes,
I need. I
yeah,
need to do X, I need to do Z, and this is what will enable me to do it.
yeah,
So it's not about saying to your boss that you can't do something. It's saying to them more about the strategy. I can do it, but this is the mechanisms or the support or the structure I need in place to help me be successful doing it
a-
because I have other responsibilities outside of my career.
absolutely,
So and
absolutely.
it's being clear on that, and I don't think women should shy away from having those conversations because it's a reality.
Yes, exactly.
It's the
And you see,
reality.
the other thing, yes, the other thing too, Janice, is especially when we're looking for that promotion, when we have been planning for it
Yeah,
for
yeah.
years, we may get to the point where we said, "Oh my goodness, if I start setting boundaries, they might say, no, 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 you're not ready for it.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
ready for it." But no, it is a part of what you do. Like with
yeah,
me, I set clear boundaries.
yes,
I don't work on weekends,
yeah, yeah,
because that's when, I have to do whatever I need to do, go wherever
yeah,
we're going,
yeah,
right? And then there are days when I have my days when it's coaching, and I have my
yeah,
days when it's planning and stuff like that.
yeah,
So that my clients know my calendar is set up in that way. So my clients know, they look at my calendar, they see when I'm available. Now,
yeah,
if somebody is out of town, if somebody has come into town and wants to
Yeah.
see me, by all means, I'm flexible.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
because your client, and I'm sure you do the same thing,
Yeah.
Janice,
Yeah.
your clients need to know that you are living,
Yeah.
you are leading by example.
Yes.
You can't tell them
Exactly.
to set
Yeah.
clear boundaries when you are
You
there.
don't. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we shouldn't compromise on that at all. It
Yeah.
should be a part of, in
Yeah.
order for me to function effectively, I
Yeah.
need, I can, I will be here for you at
Mm.
a particular time, but
Yeah.
other than that, I have. And the good thing about it is that companies are now recognizing
Yes.
that
Yes.
work
Yes.
is not the priority
Yeah.
that it used to be.
Yeah.
We have to find that happy balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So let me
Mhm.
go to the other end now.
Yes.
Um, I'm talking about women in their 60s, talking about women in their 60s or approaching 60, and the conversation normally is about, you should be looking at retirement. We all know that is now a bit of a fallacy. Unless you were very, very well planned early on in your career to navigate, I say an early retirement, chances are you could be working till your mid to late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then with that itself brings up the thought of ageism and people's perception of your abilities being past 60. So for women who are approaching this age, and I don't want to say retirement because it's not retirement,
It's
they're coming into refinement was the
exactly.
word I heard, refinement. How can they leverage their experience to secure promotion for senior leadership before making that transition? Because people sometimes think, well, they're going to retire in a few years. Why should I bother investing in them at this stage in their career?
So a couple of things. First of all, yes, you're right. It's not retirement. It's,
Mm,
like just, it's just another path along
yes.
your
Yeah.
career
Yeah.
journey. So what I would suggest is that, and I would say this to just about any woman, whether they're 40, 50, or 60,
Yeah.
is to always do some reflection
Mm,
in terms of what specific skills and experience that you have.
yeah.
Because you have it, you have been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You're not starting from scratch. You're not fresh out of university with only the paper.
Yeah.
So you have to capitalize on that and have the conversations, right? Um, Talk to your manager. Let them know
Mm,
that while others are looking to retire, no,
yeah.
you are
Yeah.
still able to function. And I'm glad you mentioned the piece about ageism
Mm,
because it's it's hard, it's a difficult piece to deal with. But we have to call a spade a spade.
yes.
We have to think in terms of, listen, with age comes wisdom. And
Yeah.
that's the conversation
Yeah.
um, we women should be having with people who are going to limit us because we're at a certain age. Talk about it. Talk about what you have done.
Yeah.
Show them,
Yeah.
demonstrate them. Listen, if
Yeah.
I were not here, this would not have happened. And be proud
Yes.
of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, in saying that, am I saying that, okay, well, the moment you say that, then people are gonna say, well, yes, I'm gonna hire Janice. No, because
Mm,
it is so ingrained in our
yeah.
psyche to
Yeah.
think that, once you get to a certain age,
Yeah. We're
you
past
no
it.
longer
Yeah.
have the value.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure you have the exposure. You have the experience.
Yeah.
You have proof.
Yeah.
You talk to people about it. Don't
Yeah.
don't buy into when they say, oh, well, they're not gonna say, well, you're in your 60s, but they may say something like, you might not be able to handle,
Yes. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
know that your boss is going to be someone in their early 40s or even
Yeah.
in their late 30s,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
then you have to say, listen, that would be a great person for me to work with
Mm,
because we
mm,
can benefit from our
mm,
experiences. The younger
mm.
person is coming with all the
Yes.
technical skills, and I'm
Yeah.
coming with all the lived experiences of
Experience.
what.
Yeah.
So you have to counter it. You don't just
Yeah.
sit back and
Yeah.
accept it
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
rule. No, so
Yeah.
we can benefit each other.
Yeah.
I will benefit, from that individual being, a Gen X or a Gen Z,
Yeah.
and that person can also benefit from it because I have walked the path. I can
Yes.
direct them,
Yeah.
into ways that they shouldn't go because
Yeah.
I went there, didn't work out. So
Yeah.
it what it boils down to as well, Janice, is this one-on-one relationship.
Mm,
It's a
mm.
one-on-one relationship. When you're able to talk to people and really give them your viewpoint, your
Yeah.
perspective, you kind
Yeah.
of break the barrier down,
Yeah.
and by saying, no, listen, I may be in my 60s, but you know what? I am well versed in
Yeah.
technology. Do you know
Yeah.
what I did?
Yeah.
Do you know such and
Yeah.
such? Do you know that I have actually, when I heard that AI was coming on stream, I went ahead and learned some new
Yeah.
jargon about.
Yeah.
So you tell them that, and they can say,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
about AI? Well, tell me a little bit more about AI. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's about the
Yeah.
conversation.
I think persons forget that this generation or our generation has seen the most technological advancements of any generation. Because I had this conversation not a few weeks back where I said, well, when I started out, there was no
Mm.
mobile phones. And there's like, what? And there was no internet.
Yeah,
And we have learned all of this to stay relevant and then some.
exactly. Exactly.
So don't count us out. And I love the fact that you talked about starting over, because we're not starting over, we're starting from experience.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
we already have that. And then just
Exactly.
to counter that again, it's these employers who want 40-year-olds to have 30 years of experience.
Right.
Come on.
How do you get, yes. How do
Come
you get
on.
that? How
You
do you
know,
get that?
yeah.
Yes.
And
And
I stopped, even saying like grey hairs or trying to disguise my age, because I'm like, how can you expect this level of wisdom without having the years under the belt?
exactly. Exactly.
That's my reality. That's my reality.
Yes. And this is so
So
true. And
yes.
the last piece I would want to add to that about women in their 60s or approaching retirement, what they can also do, and I may have said it at the beginning, but they can leverage their experience by positioning themselves as indispensable,
Yeah.
right? And it buys and it ties right in to the lived experience, the experience,
Mm, mm,
right? And
mm.
use that as a leverage,
Yeah. Yeah.
use your
Yeah.
experience, forget age, use your experience
Yes.
as and then when they're able to highlight their industry
Yeah.
experiences, then when they're able to do that, when they're able to highlight their successful track record,
Yeah. Yeah.
then age age is minimized. The conversation around
Yes. Yeah. It's
age
not around age, it's
is,
around
is
experience.
minimized. So
Yeah.
it's not easy. I'm not saying, well, you do all these things and all of a sudden things are going to happen, but it opens you to start
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
not buying into what other people are saying,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
standing up and saying, listen, I
Yeah.
have been there.
Mm,
I have
mm.
been there. These are some of the projects I have worked on.
Yeah.
These are some of the things I did. Did
Yeah.
you know that I was the leader of such and such?
Yeah.
And you have the conversation. And I'm sure it's it's one way of kind of breaking, like I said, breaking the
Yeah.
barrier, having those
Yeah.
conversations and seeing,
Yeah.
seeing what happens.
Fantastic. Well,
Mhm.
we could talk for hours, but
I know.
I'm going to start wrapping up. So my last question, I suppose my general question here are there any resources that you'd recommend for women seeking career coaching, promotional mentorship, or sponsorship?
Yeah. And we had kind of touched on the sponsorship piece in
Yes, we did.
terms of, really identifying people who you would
Yeah.
want to be your sponsor
Yes.
and reaching out to those individuals.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that not everyone is going to say yes,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah.
need everyone to say yes.
Yeah.
So you do that. And if you reach out to one person and for some reason they can't, ask them,
Yeah.
do you know someone
Exactly.
that I could
Exactly.
reach out, I could
Exactly.
reach out to.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
the other resource, as I said earlier, is to get involved in professional
Mm,
organizations. Join those organizations and start becoming active.
mm,
Plus, there are also I I guess mentorship organizations as well.
yeah.
And sometimes those come through your own
Yes.
professional
Yeah. Yeah.
organizations. And make sure that you're networking. That's
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
That you're attending all these workshops that your professional body
Yeah.
that they're having. And yeah, so depending on the industry that the person is in,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always a professional association
Yeah.
that they can tap into.
Yeah.
And the other resource I would add would be again social media. You
Mm,
already know how LinkedIn, with all
yeah.
its faults, that's always a great place to be.
Yeah.
You never know who you might end up being meeting there. And
Yeah.
of course, you have platforms like Coursera,
Yeah.
Udemy, even
Yeah.
LinkedIn Learning, where you can
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
and earn some micro
Yeah.
credentials
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
area that you'd like. And um the the last piece that's coming to mind would be around books.
Mm,
Make sure you're reading. Make
yeah.
sure I'm a book nerd, so I
Yeah.
have so many books that that I haven't yet read. But one of the ones I'm reading right now, and I had known the lady Lisa Orbe Austin from Instagram, but I
Mm,
attended one of her sessions with coaching.com, one of the free
mm,
coaching.com had its summit the other day. And her book is Own Your Greatness.
mm.
And it has to do with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yes. It was written by her and her husband.
Mm,
Great book because it kind
mm.
of posits imposter syndrome into it explains it
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
gives you um ideas
Yeah.
on how to deal with.
All right.
The other one is Art of Active Allyship.
Mm.
And that lady is Purnima Luthra, or I hope I'm not butchering her name. But it it encourages individuals to become more proactive
Yeah.
around allyship.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned from her, and I never thought about it, is that you cannot call yourself an ally.
Mm.
Somebody has to literally, well, not really appoint, but appoint is the word, you as the
Yeah.
ally. So
Yeah.
you can go
Yeah.
around and say, oh, well, I'm an ally for Black
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
No, Black
Yeah.
women have to say, you know what? Based on what
That
Janice
you've
has
done.
done,
Yes.
she's an ally.
Yeah.
So
And let me add a couple of extra things onto there from a resource perspective. Podcasts. I am a huge podcast listener. I listen to hours of podcast. It's maybe doubling up when I do my morning walks, and I learn a lot. Sometimes, I don't have time to sit down and read. Even listen to podcasts when I'm cooking. There's different ways of taking information as well. And
Yeah.
the one you didn't mention is people like us. Because I read an article recently about Black professionals being the most undercoached workplace demographic. And approximately, so the article said approximately 40% of Black women report having access to professional coaching versus 72% of white women. And that was a HR article and McKinsey. So, look at different ways of
Yes.
supporting your development. We did touch on coaching earlier, but
Mhm.
having someone who's actually walked the walk or who's
Yes.
experienced the environment you want to get into that you can lean into is absolutely paramount and will pay dividends in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. Podcasts are yes, because you can listen to them as you say when you're
Yeah.
walking, when
Yeah,
so on. So those are some very good ones as well. But yes, and you know what? We can go out there and search.
we can. We can. It's easy
We can
enough.
go
It's
out
easy
there
enough
and
to find.
search for
And
it.
talking of searching, if people want to connect with you, Daisy, how can they do that?
Well, thank you for that. They can find me on LinkedIn. Just
Yeah,
look for Daisy Wright and, add Chief Encouragement Officer, and I will show up. And of course,
fantastic.
my website, the Right Career Solution. I told my husband I marry him so I could use his name in my company. And
Fantastic.
then I have my other website, which is the Aspire to Grow Leadership Academy.
Okay,
And that's kind of my new project that I started in 2023. And again,
fantastic.
it's to coach emerging leaders and mid-career professionals around.
Right.
This is a full service coaching in terms of not only the coaching and leadership development and personal branding. Those are some of the things I
Yeah,
cover.
yeah.
But I also cover the mechanical pieces. So it's the resume, the LinkedIn profile, the
Mm,
bio, and so on. So it's
mm,
full service.
fantastic. So,
Yeah.
Daisy, thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure our listeners got a load of tips
Well,
from us moving forward and navigating their careers.
thank you. Thank you so much for this third opportunity. And I hope there'll be many more. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Okay, good.